Hello and welcome to Odds on Champions League second match day, and we have, for instance, Juve Chelsea. So let's analyze every single game we have on Wednesday with Alvaro Romeo and Dani Fisichella, and of course with you. I want to know your opinion. Leave a comment below telling us your predictions, and if you enjoy our videos, don't forget and click on the like, subscribe and click on the bell to get notifications. And now let's go on with the show. We have Dani Fisichella and Alvaro Romeo to analyze with us the Champions League. How are you guys?
Ciao, Edu.
Well, thank you.
And let's start with the games we have on Wednesday with Group E. We go to Munich, Bayern Munich, Dynamo Kiev. Probably Bayern, they are now the best team in Europe. Again, they are really informed. They beat Firth. We all expected that in the weekend. Now 8 victories in a row, 40 goals in those games. Dani, so that's why we can see these very low odds, only 1.11 against Dynamo Kiev, who is top in the Ukrainian league. And also, Dani, because we saw a great Bayern Munich at Camp Nou in the first match day. What do you expect here? Also a hammering result for Nagelsmann, man?
Barcelona didn't have any shots on target against Bayern. They were dominant the weekend, and they face a Dynamo Kiev side that yes, they're top of the table in Ukraine. They won the last 5 games domestically, but you know, in the process they also lost to the other Ukrainian team who plays in the Champions League. They lost 3-0 to Shakhtar in the Super Cup, but overall a good start of the season, I think, for Dynamo Kiev. They kept 6 clean sheets in the last 7, and as I said previously in these videos, you know, the Ukrainian football is on the up. I think they got a lot of talents, a lot of young talents that have been going through the ranks of the youth national team and through the national team with Shevchenko, and now with a new manager. You know, even at the weekend, most of them they play for Dynamo Kiev. Even at the weekend, Dynamo Kiev managed to rest people like Shaparenko, Zabarny, Sidorchuk. These are all regular starters, and these are all players that could leave a mark. And I think did well in the first game against Benfica. Let's not forget Benfica was superior in the first half, but then in the second half, they had a goal ruled out, Dynamo Kiev, because of VAR, so they could have snatched a late win in that regard. So, I mean, obviously Bayern favorite, but my pick will be over 1.5 goals in the first half. So plenty of goals, and that pays 183.
Also, Alvaro, you expect a lot of goals with this game?
Yes, I think so. Daniele has done a really good radiography, a really good scan on Ukrainian football on what Dynamo Kiev is. I think that Bayern are sensational. In my opinion, they were the best team of Europe last season as well. Their only problem is that they didn't have Robert Lewandowski in the key tire against PSG. And, you know, if a team loses the way Bayern lost against PSG, hats off. They were amazing. They did everything to win that game, and I believe that they are better than Chelsea and Manchester City. I cannot prove it, obviously, because they have to play against each other, but what Bayern can do to you, the amount of chances that they can put on your box, that can only be matched, in my opinion, by Liverpool when they are in their best mode. So I think that Bayern, they are unbelievable, and they are going to score many goals here. They top the group, obviously, after beating Barcelona. This weekend, Nagelsmann tried something new. They played with 3 centre-backs, which worked for them because they won again. They scored 6 goals. And if you check the stats alone, they are the team with most goals, most shots, and most sprints in the Bundesliga, because this is a very young team. They've got Alphonso Davies, Sule, Lucas Hernandez, Pavard, Goretzka, then all the wingers with Gnabry, with Sané, with Musiala. They are all so young, so they outmuscle you as well. So I'm going to go in this case for Bayern to win both halves. That pays 175.
We all expect Bayern Munich to top this group, but let's see who is going to qualify to the last 16 round. And this game is very important. Benfica, Barcelona, decisive also probably for the future of Ronald Koeman. Alvaro, we saw Barcelona beating Levante, winning again after 3 winless games. And the best news for them is that Ansu Fati was back and he actually scored a goal, and this game is not gonna be easy for sure. They are visiting the top of the table in the Portuguese league. Benfica, they beat Vitória Guimarães in the weekend. The last 4 Champions League games at home were victories, so be careful because this game is dangerous, Alvaro.
Of course it is. The Estadio La Luz, Da Luz, is never an easy place for anybody. And Barcelona at this moment, they are suffering in many high-profile games. I believe that this weekend was very beneficial for Barcelona. Number one, because they played against a team like Levante that didn't put a fight, really. Levante was very disappointing. They haven't won in the last 15 games in La Liga, which is a lot. And Barcelona took advantage of that. They scored early with the penalty of Memphis. Then Luke de Jong scored the goal as well, his first at Barcelona. But the big thing here, as you said, is that Ansu Fati came back. Even when he came out to the sidelines just to warm up before he came in, the stand gave him a standing ovation, and they were expecting him. In these moments in which Barcelona is flooded by negative feelings, and even coming from the manager last week, Ronald Koeman said that Barcelona couldn't compete in the Champions League. Well, having players like Ansu Fati, who come back, who are optimistic, who after 11 months in the sidelines, they are capable still of scoring a goal in the third ball they touch, is something that Barcelona needs. He wears Barcelona number 10, and it looks like he wants to wear it. He is not going to be apologizing for wearing it. I love that player. I think that Spain in the Euro would have gotten further had they had Ansu Fati. Daniele may have any other ideas, but I think that Spain definitely would have negotiated better their games, because Ansu Fati scores many goals, and he's a player who can break into the game, and in 5-10 minutes he does the damage. He's unbelievable. So Barcelona, they are suffering, they are not playing very well, but on Sunday they managed to get to somewhere where we were missing them to be. I mean, they haven't been there for a long time. So for this game, I think that Barcelona needs to win. I think that Barcelona is more needed than Benfica, believe it or not, even though Benfica has Jorge Jesus, and last season they had a bad season and they want to recover from it. So I'm going to go for the following very simply. Barcelona to win, that pays 261, and an Asian handicap 0 for Barcelona, 189.
It's a good odd. I think both are good odds, but I think this could be really, really tricky for Barcelona. Barcelona is still in transition with a lot of doubts, and as Edu mentioned before, Benfica are unbeaten this season, 7 wins out of 7 in the Primera Liga. This is a very good experienced side, the likes of Otamendi, the likes of Vertonghen. They got Yeremenchuk up top, still without Haris Seferovic, but still they managed to score a lot of goals. In the game against Dynamo Kiev, they were better. They were the better team for at least 60-70 minutes. They had very good chances in the end. 0-0. I think it was more of a disappointment for them. Plus, they got one of the most informed goalkeepers of Europe, Odysseas Vlachodimos, who was amazing in the playoff game against PSV. He was the hero. He could be the hero again. I think I can see this game could be an epic one for Benfica again, against a Barcelona team that has got a lot of youngsters as well. So I think the experience could pay off for Benfica. Let's not forget Barcelona were so poor against Bayern. I'm going to be really, really speculative on this one. Benfica to take the lead at home, 205.
Okay, you both have different opinions about this game. Benfica, Barcelona, really good one. Group F, let's go to the north of Italy. Atalanta, young boys. Dani, we are seeing a slightly better Atalanta side in the last games. They won against Salernitana and Sassuolo. They put a fight and got a draw against Inter. Malinowski, oh my God, he has a canyon in his left leg. And now they have to beat Young Boys, the big surprise of the first match day when they were able to beat Man United, Dani. But this is a team, Young Boys, that they are good when they play in Switzerland, but away they are quite poor actually in the last 8 games in the Champions League. Only 1 victory in the preview against Ferencváros. I guess we have to expect Atalanta to win.
They are favorite also because they come on the back of a very good result against Villarreal, and we start seeing the old Atalanta, the top scorers of Serie A for 3 seasons in a row. They were good with Inter. They could have lost because Inter missed a penalty in the 85th minute. They could have won because they got the goal ruled out in the end by VAR. Draw was a fair result. And you mentioned Malinowski. Since a couple of weeks, he's stepping up, providing assists, scoring goals. He could be the key man for this game and for the season to come. I think with Inter, Atalanta had the control of the game. Then Gasperini made a couple of defensive changes, taking out Pessina, bringing on a defender. Atalanta dropped deep and Inter were allowed more into the box. Then when he put Pasalic back on, they were pressing high. Atalanta likes to press high, likes to impose the rhythm. Sometimes they overplay at the back and let some goals in, but it's always a good watch for this team. They scored 7 in the last 4, so that tells you things are start clicking again, especially the wing backs. Mele, Zappacosta, Gosens are getting more into score sheet, more into the assist position. The issue with Atalanta has always been the defense. I don't think Demiral has solved the issue yet. They weren't perfect with Romeo last year. They're not perfect yet this year. Only 2 clean sheets so far in 7 games. Also, it's all a question of rotation. Next up for Atalanta is Milan at home, so it's another big game. So, Atalanta, though, they're starting developing that European pedigree. It's not just a new team anymore. Only lost 1 of the last 11 Champions League group games, and that was the very first one. They were shocked in the very first game against Dinamo Zagreb. After then, they never lost in the group. Young boys, though, are dangerous. We saw it against Man United. Both to score doesn't pay too much, but if you go both to score in the second half, you can triple your money. The odds is 3.
You also think, Alvaro, Atalanta, they are improving in the last weeks. We are seeing that, but maybe young boys can be dangerous, as Man United showed us.
They can be dangerous, but the question for me is how Young Boys is going to play against 11 men, because don't forget that Young Boys beat Manchester United when they were reduced to 10, because Aaron Wan-Bissaka was sent off. I think this is the time for Atalanta to top the group. They know that Villarreal and Manchester United, they are going to be fighting in the other corner of Europe, and Atalanta will try to win this game. I believe that they are favorites. I mean, they are making sure that they don't lose lately. They got a 2-2 versus against Inter. They are 7th in the Serie A, but improving. And Young Boys, yes, I mean, they are in a good run. They won the last 5 games, one of them against Manchester United, of course, as I said, and they have scored 21 goals in the process. In the last 5 games, they scored 21 goals. That's very good. That's fantastic. And, the fact that they started the group in good fashion is something that shouldn't be overlooked. But at the same time, I think that Atalanta is a better team. Some key players of Young Boys are going to be in the sidelines, the likes of Sessiger, the captain as well, Lustenberger, and Jean-Pierre Samet, last season's top scorer. So this is obviously going to be weakening Young Boys. So I'm going to go for the following. Atalanta to score in both halves. That pays 2-10.
Then you mentioned, Alvaro, that this is a tricky group because we have Man United, Villarreal meeting in Old Trafford. Another disappointing result for Man United also in the Premier League. They lost against Aston Villa. And be careful, because if they get a bad result here, the group is going to be very dangerous for them after losing in Switzerland. As we commented before, 3 defeats in the last 4 games. So they arrive urging a good result here. And Alvaro, Villarreal is not a good guest right now. They showed this and they proved it at Bernabeu on Saturday evening after the first victory of the season. If Emery is showing us something this season, is that this Villarreal can compete on every single team, no matter if it's Real Madrid, Atlético de Madrid in Spanish La Liga, or even Chelsea in the European Super Cup.
Have you seen that Villarreal to win pays 7-10? I mean, obviously, if Villarreal winning pays that much, the double chance is going to pay well as well. That pays 280, and I'm going to stick to it. I believe that this is a great value for this money. Villarreal didn't lose against Manchester United in the UEFA Europa League final. Villarreal didn't lose against Chelsea in the UEFA Super Cup. So this is a team that is second to anybody. I mean, when it comes to, it's as good as anybody when it comes to competing in this type of games. They didn't lose to Real Madrid in the weekend. Villarreal hasn't lost a game yet. they are drawing a lot, of course, but at the same time, this is a team that knows how to compete. And one thing that Villarreal does very well, and they did it at Bernabeu as well, is making sure that they slow down the game, because they know that pace benefits the opponent, because they are not very pacey, especially in defense and in the midfield. But now with the signings of this summer, the likes of Danjuma coming from Bournemouth, the likes of Dia coming from the Belgian league, well, Villarreal has become as well a team that can counterattack too. Unfortunately for them, Gerard Moreno is not going to be ready for the game. Chukwueze is not going to be ready either. They are two important players, but as I said before, I mean, the odds are so discriminating of Villarreal that they have to back the double chance here. And if not, you can go for the Asian handicap +1 for them as well. I think that would be good enough. And I leave it with Daniele for Manchester United, because they've got a massive chaos in there with Bruno Fernandes and Cristiano Ronaldo and the penalty shots.
Also, I think you analyzed very well Villarreal. Villarreal has got an identity. You can almost imagine how Villarreal is going to play. Manchester United at the moment hasn't got an identity, hasn't got a very strong character there. They looked unbalanced, they look full of problems. And obviously, the problems with Man United last season were not the goals. Let's not forget, they scored 15 in the Champions League group stages and still got eliminated. The problem was the balance in midfield. I think for me, the key problem is, where do you play Pogba? If you play Pogba in the midfield alongside McTominay or Fred, out of a sudden you look very exposed, because sometimes Pogba doesn't like to run back and track his runners. If you play him up front, you are taking a space out one of the three wingers. So you either don't play Greenwood, you either don't play Sancho, we'll get into that, or you don't play Fernandes, and obviously Ronaldo needs to play. So, it's very, very difficult to find the balance. Also, they're going to have a couple of injuries problem. Shaw's going to miss the game, Dalot is going to play, Maguire is going to miss the game, Wan-Bissaka is suspended. So out of a sudden, back four of Manchester United looks a little bit frail. Let's not forget Dalot is a good player, but last year he couldn't really start many games for Milan. Only one clean sheet for Manchester United in the last 8. As I said, the problem for them was never scoring, but do not let too many goals in. And now Sancho, that's the big question. Where is Sancho? It's a little bit like that game where is Wally. You try to find him in the in the lineup. He's not there. 73 million pounds, the biggest signing in Europe, or it should have been the biggest signing in Europe. They cannot find him a place. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't know if does he start on the left, cut inside, does he start on the right, but then you got Wan-Bissaka who can protect it a match. Is a real mess, and it could be a real problem for them. By the way, they are winless in the last 7 games against Spanish opposition in the Champions League, Manchester United. As my friend Tom Rennie says always in the other videos, always back Man United to concede or to go behind, both to score 186.
A tricky game, this one for United and for Solskjaer. So I'm sure he's going to have trouble if Man United is not winning this game. Then we go to Group G. This is a funny one. We said it at the beginning, actually, of our videos, and in the first match day, 2 draws we had in this group. But now we have Salzburg, Lille, and Dani, I pretty much like actually the odds for the home team. I liked Salzburg a lot in the first match day. They should have won in Sevilla, but they missed a couple of penalties. Every single game has been a victory for them in the Austrian Bundesliga, and we know that Lille, they are suffering this year. It's true that they've improved a little bit, 2 victories back-to-back against Strasbourg and against Reims. Gurvenek was in trouble, but now, of course, he's been back by these 2 results. You also see a home victory here?
No, I don't. I think perhaps Lille in the last couple of games, they might have turned the corner. 2 back-to-back 2-1 wins. Also the weekend against Strasbourg, and it was a good game. I watched it. They were really good for the first 70 minutes. They pressed the ball really high. They had a lot of chances. The stat says they had 23 touches in the opposition box. So, that's impressive for a team that, yes, it was still, in transition, still not perfect, but they are creating more chances. Thanks mostly to Jonathan David, who is in really good form. He scored 2 at the weekend, scored 4 score so far this season. Last year he scored 13, so he continues like this, he's probably going to become their top scorers. Also, Timothy Weah was in a good form, had a good game also in midweek. And if we look at the other Champions League game against Wolfsburg, Lille dominated really. Wolfsburg did not have a shot on target. We'll talk about Wolfsburg in a minute, but I think they were really unlucky not to pick up the 3 points. They had a goal and a penalty disallowed by VAR. Okay, in the end, Wolfsburg were playing with 10 men, so Lille should have scored. But let's not forget that this is a team that last year imposed themselves in the French league, so obviously they are under new management, but they kept pretty much the same team. Yes, in some departments is an aging team, is a team that's getting old, but there are some exciting young players, as I mentioned before, Jonathan David and Timothy Weah. Yes, Salzburg are likely to score. This is likely to be a high-scoring game, but the double chance for the French champions is very good. 189 x2.
Alvaro, Lille, they don't travel pretty well actually in the Champions League. Last 4 away games were defeats.
Yes, they were, and this is a team that last season were the best defense in French domestic football, and they conceded a total of 23 goals, I believe, to win the Ligue 1. Well, this season alone, they have conceded 14 goals, 1-4. So, where is that defensive capability? Where is that defensive expertise? I don't know. I don't see it. And on top of that, Renato Sanchez, the Portuguese player, is going to be out, I think, for this game. He's been out for more than a month now, so that is a pretty sensitive absentee for Jocelyn Houvenek. And when it comes to Salzburg, well, I think that they could have taken positives from Sevilla. I mean, if they had done the job from the penalty spot, they would have beaten them. But Sevilla was very good in the second half too, and with 10 men, they managed to compete against them. Salzburg, they are in a very good run domestically, and this is something that sounds pretty much like our bread and butter, but this run is especially good. I mean, they have won 9 out of 9 in the Austrian Bundesliga, and a win this weekend or last weekend meant that Salzburg won in total 13 consecutive games in Austrian Bundesliga history, which is a new record for the club. So they are in a very good moment. I believe that Okafor is one of the players that we have to keep an eye on. He scored the second on Saturday, and he's got 4 goals in 5 games. Adeyemi got 3 penalties at Sevilla, so I think that this one is another dangerous guy who can make the difference. And I believe that Salzburg is maybe a slightly favorite, but I'm not ready to back the outright market, so I'm going to go for the following. The over 1.5 goals in the second half, I like it, that pays good enough, but definitely the first half draw, that pays 230, I'm going for it.
Okay, you see both not Salzburg as favorite here in Salzburg Lille. Then the other game of this group is Wolfsburg Sevilla. Alvaro, Sevilla getting better. Now they are third in the Spanish La Liga after beating Espanyol 2-0, and also they were able to beat Valencia before 2 home victories. And the truth is that when they are playing in Europe, they are very good when they are playing on the road. No defeats in the last 7 trips in the Champions League, and they visited teams like Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund or Chelsea, and now they are playing against Wolfsburg. It's true that they are also third in the Bundesliga, but there is a team that is going down. They lost at the weekend against Hoffenheim, and again, it's not a team in form. Wolfsburg, good opportunity here for Sevilla to get a victory also away.
Yeah, I think the last heavy defeats of Sevilla in the Champions League have been against the top opposition or against top players. I remember Olivier Giroud scoring 4 goals at Sevilla last season. I remember Erling Haaland getting the best of Sevilla in the Champions League knockouts last year. But I don't think that Wolfsburg has that quality, simple as that, especially up front. And I like them. I think that they are a very good team, and they are solid, and they have a very good defensive record, and last season they were impressive. However, Wolfsburg lost this weekend against Hoffenheim 3-1, and this may be a little bit of a message for Sevilla. Wolfsburg are vulnerable. Sevilla, on the other hand, they won this weekend. They are third, yes, Edu, but if they win the game they got in hand, they will be joint leaders of La Liga with Real Madrid, and this is the best defense of La Liga. They have conceded only 2 goals. You know, Lopetegui does a lot of rotations, especially up front, also in midfield, but especially up front. But in defense, it's always the same unit. You can name it: Jesus Navas, Diego Carlos, Koundé, and Acuña, and it's working very well all together with the goalkeeper Bono. The only bad thing for Sevilla is that El Nesiri is very likely to be out. We still don't know how bad his injury is. He picked this injury in the weekend. It is very likely that we have Rafa Mir up front, the former Huesca player scored in the weekend. I really like this guy. I think that he's a brilliant striker. So I'm gonna back Sevilla to win here. That has a very good value. That pays 275. I think that that's good enough. And if you think that their defense is very good, as I do think, check the clean sheet market, because that pays very well and triples up your money.
That's the key, I think, for me. Second best defense in La Liga, as Alvaro said, against a team, Wolfsburg, that is the 10th best attack in the Bundesliga. Yes, they are third in the table, but they only scored 8 goals. They don't score many. Van Bommel teams, they're not very spectacular, they're not very attacking. However, last year, they were impressive in defense, and now they conceded 3 at Hoffenheim. So if you look also at the games at Lille, is a team that sit very deep back. They try to make it hard for you to break, but obviously they don't produce much in the opposition half. So for me, the goals market is the one to look at. You can go to an under, but my pick would be both to score no. So either one team to score, it could be a 0-0, but I see Sevilla with more firepower. That pays 215. Yes, the stat says Wolfsburg have been good, decent in Champions League. They won 6 of the last 8 Champions League games, but the last win, obviously when we talk at home, it's in 2016 with
Vieirinha.
Exactly.
Sevilla, good odds for them. Sevilla cannot count with El Nesiri, have Morata. Luckily for them, they were able to beat Sampdoria, back-to-back victories. Then for Allegri's men, and they face Chelsea. This is the most interesting game for me. On Wednesday, they lost 0-1 against Man City. They don't meet actually in Europe since 2012. Dani, what do you see here? Because Chelsea are really, really heavy favorites for this one.
The champions of Europe come to Turin. I think they are favorite. Juventus, they are in a bit of a roller coaster. 2-3-2 wins. They suffered a lot against Spezia, a bit less against Sampdoria, but they still left the door open at the back. They have conceded for 20 consecutive Serie A games now. It's a stats that we keep repeating in videos, but because it's a negative record in the top 5 leagues. Bad news for Allegri. They will be without Dybala, who opened the scoring against Sampdoria. They will be without Morata. And, without those two, we saw how important they were at Malmo. Juventus might struggle against a very tight back 3 that sometimes becomes a back 4. One of the best keepers in Europe. We keep repeating. Chelsea are very difficult to score against. Maybe they're not the most positive team at the moment going forward, but they know how to keep it tight. Let's see what kind of formation Allegri decides to deploy, whether he will continue to stick to Bonucci and Chiellini. They've not been the best partnership so far in Serie A, but they always seem to work against Lukaku. Lukaku in Italy never scored from open play against Juventus, and also with the national team, with Belgium. We saw at the Euros, he scored from a penalty, but he struggled from open play, missed a big chance as well, if we have to be correct. But, De Ligt could be the option. There is always the idea for Juventus to switch to a back 3, play De Ligt, Bonucci and Chiellini, use the wing backs, maybe match Chelsea system, because Chelsea going to be dangerous in away areas. The good news for Juventus is that Locatelli is growing more into his role, scored his first goal at the weekend, and I think the Italian axis at Juventus, Chiesa, Locatelli, the same Bernardeschi, Bonucci, Chiellini, is going to be so important, the backbone of these teams, but they still need to gel. A bit of a statistical advantage for Juventus. They won 11 of the last 12 Champions League group games. And the last 3 games have been 3 clean sheets and 3 wins for 3-0. But because they miss some players, and because I think Chelsea has got more of a mentality, more of an identity, Chelsea clean sheet, 250.
And Chelsea, Alvaro, they are not also in great form. We saw them struggling a lot, even against Zenit St. Petersburg in the first matchday, probably without Lukaku. We were talking about another result.
I think so, yeah. Let me say, first of all, that I think that normally the odds are a little bit overinflated with English clubs. I think that going to play against Juventus, it shouldn't be. I mean, a double chance for Juve alone here, that pays 197. It's Juventus at home, man. And I know that they are not doing great. And I know that they have conceded a lot of goals. Daniele has explained that very well. But in the Euro, I saw Bonucci and Chiellini taking it seriously. And they were pretty much impossible to score against. So I think that these are the kind of guys that when they take it seriously, they can put a really good defense. I think that Juventus is not going to be that bad. And probably they're going to put on a Real Madrid type display. You know what I mean? Sometimes they slack off a little bit in La Liga, but then they go to the Champions League and they do the job. They cannot get hammered at home by Chelsea. And, I think that they are missing key players like Morata or Dybala. But Chiesa, for example, is a very recognizable scorer for me, at least, or an attacker, and they will definitely put a fight. I wouldn't back Chelsea so strongly, even though I think that they are better than Juventus. Of course I do. I was in Stamford Bridge on Saturday, and they were fully dominated by Manchester City. Fully dominated. That could have been easily a 2-0 or a 3-0 for Pep Guardiola's men. Chelsea is a very strange team because from the best teams of Europe, it's the only one that doesn't storm in your box, doesn't produce a lot of chances. They just occupy the spaces very well, and they make you feel uncomfortable wherever you are, and they put a lot of width to the team with the wing backs and the centre backs, meaning that it's very difficult to penetrate their defense. But at the same time, here I'm gonna back probably something like a bit favorable for Juventus. Why not to say this? Maybe a double chance for Juve is good enough. Maybe not a win, but a draw. That pays 197. And if you think that this is something that doesn't give you enough value, the clean sheet for Juventus, Daniele, do we agree on that or we disagree on that? That pays 410. And as you said, Romelu Lukaku is doubtful. And as I said as well, Bonucci and Chiellini, when they take it seriously, they are a good defense. 410 is too much for a clean sheet. You wouldn't back it, no?
I wouldn't back Juventus to keep the door shut.
Okay, yeah. I saw that, I flagged that value because he's there, and it sounded like appealing to me, but yeah. I think that the double chance is the right one here, Edu.
Juventus conceding a lot. They met in 2012, and at that time Juve won 3-0, and the goals were scored by Quagliarella and Jovinko. But that was another Juve, another times, another Chelsea. And the other game in this group, Zenit Malmo, they are fighting to get into the Europa League most probably. But Alvaro, we saw a very good Zenit St. Petersburg when they were playing in Stamford Bridge. Last season they were awful in the Champions League. Maybe this year they can make it better, and for sure they have to beat Malmo, who are second also in the Swedish league, and they were a bit disappointed. I think we all expected them to put a fight at least against Juve.
Yes, I think so. Well, Zenit could have drawn at the Stamford Bridge, but who was that? Asmun had a one-on-one, and Rudiger just took the ball off him before he took the shot. So they weren't bad, Zenit, at the Stamford Bridge. Both teams, though, lost in the first day, as you well said, Zenit and Malmo. Zenit is top in their league. Chuba is back in the scoring ranks. He has scored 3 goals in the last 2 games, which is always good news for the team from St. Petersburg. And I think that the Zenit will try to be competitive, something that they haven't been in the last seasons. I remember that they finished 4th in the last two seasons in the group. So let's see how it goes. It's good news, obviously, that Asmun returned as a late substitute on Saturday to play for them a little bit. So he seems to be ready to play against Malmo this time. Lauren hasn't played a single minute since September. This is a very sensitive absentee for them. And when it comes to Malmo, well, this weekend they beat Orebro, but they were totally outplayed by Juventus. Maybe the game against Juventus was a shock of reality for Jon Dahl Tomasson men. I'm going to go for the following. A draw for Malmo gets a good value there, pays 450. I think that the odds are a little bit favorable to Zenit, or maybe the Asian handicap +1 for Malmo is good enough.
I would go for both to score in this case, which pays 2, based on the fact that Malmo scored already 45 goals in the Allsvenskan, 21 games played there. They seem to be a good scoring team. They had good 20 minutes against Juventus, and then they backed off. But they had chances silly mistakes. They conceded 3 goals. Yes, but I think I see them a little bit vulnerable maybe on this stage. So both to score doubles your money, and they can be. I think it could be a good bet.
Good enough, Dani. Then let's see your ACCA for this Wednesday.
So let's start with Atalanta to win, Benfica Barcelona 1x double chance, Chelsea, Juventus Chelsea both to score no, Red Bull Salzburg Lille double chance x2, Man United Villarreal under 3.5 goals. The total odds are 13.47.
And yours, Alvaro?
Asian handicap +1 for Malmo, Edu, the double chance for Juventus, Sevilla to win and Bayern to score in both halves. That pays 14.48.
Then thank you, guys. Let's enjoy Champions League and see you very soon.
Bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Great. We have now all the predictions to place our bets in the games we have on Wednesday. You can see right now every single prediction that Dani and Alvaro told us. But remember, I want to know your opinion. Let me know what you think. Tell me your predictions and your tips in the comment section. And of course, if you enjoy our videos, press the like, subscribe and click on the bell to get notifications. Or if you prefer, remember, we have a podcast for you. See you soon and enjoy the Champions League.